Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, depending on what time of the day you happen to be watching this particular broadcast. My name is Paul Zemplensky, CEO and founder of IDT, and I would like to thank Gracia along with the entire Alaris team for allowing us to participate in this process. We are a systems integrator, value-added reseller, and Alaris partner. We specialize in the content services marketplace and have been doing for a number of years. So we're excited to share with you some of our experiences where we have seen direct applicability of INfuse in a variety of different industry market segments, as well as specific applications. And I'm going to run through some of that for you here today, so you have a better understanding of how we are applying the INfuse technology in our local geography. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. What are content service platform solutions from an integrator perspective? So many of you know what enterprise content management is. It's been around for a number of years. Used to be called document imaging and document management prior to ECM. But now it involves a number of different technologies because the market's changed and Gartner's redefined really what the solution sets from a CSP or content service platform solution standpoint should comprise of. You know, let's take the situation of COVID-19 for a moment. When an employee wants to self-report that they have a COVID-19 symptom, they're not going to use document imaging typically to announce that to their manager or to their employer. They're going to send an email, or perhaps there's an electronic form that needs to be submitted, and then there's going to be paperwork, perhaps from the doctor. You'll essentially going to be creating a case. So that case may comprise of an electronic form, it may comprise of an email, it probably comprises of some documents that have been scanned, but it doesn't stop with the case management and it doesn't stop with the document imaging. That's going to get routed around the organization so that people, the employer knows who has the incident, and perhaps they want to track that in a heat map. And, you know, are we getting pockets of cases being reported in different geographies? And, you know, are we going to have to institute a work from home policy for that particular location, as an example? So you can quickly see here, you have document imaging, we have case management, we have web forms, we need to scan documents. We're creating a heat map, so that's dashboards. We might want to do some analytics on this stuff. And then followed by integrating these documents and data with our human resources system so that we can then notify our insurance carriers that there is a potential claim coming down the pike related to COVID-19. All of these various services here that you see on the screen, ECM, case management, etc., are now required sets of tools in order to solve the kind of complex problems organizations are faced with today. And then, of course, at the end of all this, you want to be able to manage the disposition of this information. Maybe some of it you need to keep perpetually. Some of the other pieces of content you may not need to keep beyond X number of years, and you can purge it legally. So you need a records retention, document retention, or what we call governance rules as a service offering to manage the automatic disposition of this content. You can see how all of these technologies need to interoperate, work together, and be integrated with even systems outside of the content services arena. Alaris plays a key role in the solutions we deliver to our customers, and INfuse solves a very interesting problem for us. It gives us the ability in a very cost-effective and innovative way to solve what we call point of origin capture. And that is the person that has the most knowledge about the content, perhaps the one that's actually creating it, we want to give them the tools to be able to onboard that information into the business process as soon as possible. We don't want to hand it off to another department to let them batch scan this, because then that provides latency in the overall business process. Everybody wants to get things done faster than ever. In the case of mortgage applications, if I am a consumer, I go into 3 banks and I'm like, I want the best rate and who can get this done the fastest. The bank better have its act together if they want to get my business. And an INfuse solution allows that mortgage banker to onboard those documents into the mortgage underwriting process faster than the guy down the street, because I'm giving them the tool, the INfuse solution, that has the one button on it that allows them to drop those documents into the hopper and scan them while I, as the consumer, are sitting in that mortgage banker's office. That's a game changer in the field of being able to solve problems uniquely better than the competition. So that's why we're excited about point of origin capture with INfuse, because we control that solution. We deliver the features and the functionality down at the device. We're not relying on an IT staff to do the deployment. We're relying on our knowledge and our expertise. We're simply delivering a device and a QR code to that end user to have them take it out of the box, and in 5 minutes or less, they're operational. That's a game changer in the industry. To make all this work, it's one thing to capture the content, but what do you do with it after it's been captured? Well, that's where our capture as a service offering comes into play. CAPSYS Capture Online. It has direct integration with the INfuse solution to be able to accept the ingestion of the content going through those INfuse 1 to n number of devices in the field into the proper workflow process residing inside the CAPSYS Capture Cloud. And that is in the Microsoft Azure Government Edition or Commercial Edition. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then finally, after the content has been gone through our workflow engine and all the OCRing and barcode reading and PDF extraction and document classification routines have occurred, we're going to probably want to park that content into a repository of some sort, such as like Highland OnBase or SharePoint Online from Microsoft, or any other content service providers that we support. So these together, the better together message is what we deliver to our customers, and they're all designed from our standpoint and have been integrated together to work as a single cohesive solution for our customers. Now, why are we so excited, or what I like to say, jacked, about the INfuse value proposition? And I'm giving you the partner perspective. First takeaway is it's a partner branded solution. The fact that our applications are showing up on the device when that 5 minute or less experience has been completed. We have complete control over how that device interacts with the end user. Everything from the appearance of it to what all the features behind the button or buttons are doing for the customer. We have complete control over that. We're not relying on their IT staff. We're not relying on a third party. All of that configuration is controlled by our team of experts, and that's important. The other part about it is that the solution is protected. We have the ability to turn on and turn off. You can't do that with an on-premise solution, at least not easily. It's certainly not as easily as we can with the entire cloud solution that we're offering. As I mentioned, we control the configuration of the solution. So if the customer wants more capability, then we can charge for that, and we can change the configuration to meet the needs of the client and decide whether or not we want to bill for that or choose to offer that as a free service. This is really exciting to us because when you have a tethered-based scanning solution sitting on a computer that you don't see and have control of, that becomes problematic and quite challenging. The other unique feature INfuse brings to the table is compressing the overall implementation timeline. The 5 minutes or less claim that we make as an organization is because we've figured out how to operationalize the deployment process. So from the time that customer receives the box and they open it up to plug in the sheet feeder, extend the tray, the exit tray, plug in a network cable if they need it, or if it's wireless, so be it, plug in the power cord, power it on, hit the easy setup button, and run our supplied QR code through, which takes that brick and turns it into a functional, usable, value-added solution, is done in 5 minutes or less. There are occasions you'll run into some network issues or challenges, but for the most part, that experience we have seen has been in a 5-minute or less timeline. We love the reoccurring annuity stream. This is because we can now take the INfuse and wrap it into our overall SLA and our billing process. So the INfuse device, we can choose to sell it like you would sell any other capital expenditure piece of equipment, or better yet, what we have found is we wrap it into a renewing, reoccurring annuity stream, much like the insurance companies have figured out for many years. That's where we like to be as an organization, is to grow our annuity stream and not leave the hardware behind as part of that process. We want to wrap that all up neatly into our SLAs and into our reoccurring annuity streams. In this next point, the bidirectional API, I cannot stress the importance enough about its role in our solution set, because we can now give almost real-time feedback to the end user, to the knowledge worker, to the device, as the transaction is being inserted into our business process or into the customer's business process. We can indicate to the client, the knowledge worker, whether or not the batch that they submitted or the transaction that they submitted was accepted or rejected, is a simple example. Or we could read a value off of a document and then tell the end user or the knowledge worker whether or not that value meets the checks and balances of the business process right there and then. So they don't have to leave INfuse experience wondering whether or not their content made it into the business process. We can give them direct feedback. You can't do that with a tethered-based scanning solution where you hand the documents off to somebody else and you're trusting them to get that process done for you. So you're empowering the knowledge worker, we are, with our complete solution, in INfuse's role in that, and being able to deliver that bidirectional communication regarding their transaction submission. Now, here's another interesting one, is our scanning service bureau. We're taking a little bit of a different direction with it. We're offering a hybrid service delivery model with INfuse. The old days, you take, your courier service, your transportation department, and you send them out to different stops to go pick up documents from customers, bring them back to your facility, inventory them, and then follow your production process. With that, there are costs. There's latency for the customer, and there are liabilities. There are liabilities both for the customer and there are liabilities for a service bureau. The customer liabilities are their documents are out of their hands for some period of time. For the service bureau, the liability of those documents have been transferred to them, and if there's an accident or some other catastrophic event, those documents could be lost forever. Potential workers' comp claims with the movement of the documents, either by the customer or by the department picking up or delivering the documents. Somebody hurts themselves with a pallet, drops a box, a pallet on their foot, etc. So if you can eliminate that, any of those risks or the expenses behind that, and then speed up the process, wouldn't that be a great thing? That's exactly what INfuse does. So in exchange of the customer giving up the transportation expenses, the movement of the documents, the liabilities associated with that, they're getting an INfuse device that allows them to capture their documents call it near time or real time, almost immediately, without any transportation costs. And those documents are mapped to the same service bureau business process that was being used internally. And instead of having the service bureau staff inventory the documents and then get them into a production cycle to be scanned, you're having the customer do all of that. And the benefit to them is they're getting the speed and efficiency uplift with being able to get those documents ingested into the process the same day. So instead of waiting days or perhaps weeks for transportation cycles to occur, you're eliminating all of that. So you're speeding up the process, you're eliminating the risk, and you're lowering the costs. So it totally changes the service delivery model for service bureaus in a very positive manner for both the service bureau and the customer. Now, let's talk about the typical capture deployment that has been used for years. I call it the IT Tower of Babel. Some people call it Babel. You have these beginning at the bottom layer, the stacking of different steps in the process to put together a capture solution for a customer. PC hardware requires typically the customer spec out equipment, require the purchasing department to procure it. All that takes time. The procurement department is going to go shop to find the best price. It's going to take time for that process to occur. It'll take time for delivery. When it comes in, it's got to get on IT schedule to get it provisioned, uncrated, unboxed, operating system configured, the network configured. Somebody needs to do the Twain ISIS via scanner driver installation configuration, and then the scan application needs to be installed, whether that's by the IT department or the solution provider. All of that takes time, takes money, takes resources. And then, of course, it's not a one-time event. You're going to go through refresh cycles with this. Firmware needs to be updated on the scanners and on the PCs from time to time. The drivers from ISIS, Twain, VIA need to be updated from time to time. We just had a client the other day who went through a Windows 10 upgrade process, and for a month, they came to realize that their documents weren't being scanned because the operator of the scanner kept opening tickets up with their internal IT department saying the scanner's not working, and the IT department turned around and tell the end user customer, must be something you're doing wrong, when it turns out it was a result of a Windows 10 upgrade and the IT department forgot to install the Twain drivers to make that scanner work properly. So they wrongfully were accusing the end user creating the problem when in fact it was the IT department that created the problem, only put the customer a month behind in their production volumes. That's not a good situation. With INfuse, none of that would occur because there is none of those layers involved. If we need to do a firmware update to the scanner, we do that silently behind the scenes without the end user even knowing it, because we do that and manage that all on behalf of the client. We don't have to get their IT department involved. There are no Twain drivers to install and configure. There's no operating system and PCs involved in the process that have to be updated and configured. So the bottom line is this QR code should not be underestimated. This QR code unleashes a lot of capabilities as an integrator, as a content services provider that we've never been able to accomplish in the past. And INfuse allows us to do this, to be able to control the point of origin capture in a manner that's never been able to be accomplished in the past. So yes, it dramatically speeds up the business process. We know what's being deployed on the devices in the field. The installation is performed by a business user, doesn't require IT. And all of the capabilities of our application get unleashed and unlocked through this simple QR code. So it eliminates all of this IT Tower of Babel or Babel. I can't stress this enough, the differentiation that this makes in the marketplace. And this is quite exciting for an organization like ourselves to have this kind of capability at our disposal. Now, what does CAPSYS Capture Online do? As I mentioned earlier, it's our Capture as a Service product. It sits in the Microsoft Azure commercial or government cloud. Customers don't worry about deployment. We take care of all of that. The marrying of the INfuse into the CAPSYS Capture Cloud, we take care of all that. The buttons directly are assigned on the INfuse device through our cloud configuration process to the various processes inside of our cloud. Customer doesn't worry about that. We do all of these types of ingestion or onboarding of content through these various sources. So you have a centralized approach, you can have decentralized, you can of course have the INfuse solution, you can have email capture. Regardless of how content is ingested into our cloud solution, we create cases out of it that then once those cases have been created, they go through our workflow processes where all the automation takes place to do document classification, to do barcode recognition, OCR, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that is taken care of in our cloud. So there's direct integration through the API between the INfuse devices deployed in the field. We offer the bi-directional communication from these workflow processes back to these devices so that we can give near real-time feedback to the user that is working these particular devices in the field through the button interaction. And then of course we can break batches down into individual documents and have even more granular controls throughout the capture process. Lots of automation. We can have people involved in the process to review quality. You can assign things to specific users based on field values. There's all kinds of capabilities, and I don't want to belabor what CAPSYS Capture does except make you aware that it's scalable and has a lot of features and capabilities embedded into it. So how does all this work? That's what I want to show you next in a live demonstration, and that's what we're going to take a look at now. The launching pad for an INfuse deployment begins with the INfuse Management Portal. This is software that sits inside of the Microsoft Azure cloud, either the commercial edition or the government, depending on which market we're serving. So we'll have two instances of this offering being deployed so that we can service each of the market sectors accordingly. Here's where we provision organizations, divisions, business units, departments, and then finally the devices. In addition to configuration, we can check into the health and the welfare of our customers, check operator logs, we can identify potential errors, identify maintenance that's coming due on the devices, and we can perform firmware updates. And also another important component is the button configuration and what all the feature sets and where those buttons connect to in our cloud application, CAPSYS Capture Online, is where all of that configuration process occurs. Next, you generate your easy setup configuration. To do this, we go into the portal, we set whether we're going to use wired or wireless networks, we determine which group the customer belongs to, which has all the button assignments. If you need to enter a proxy, we have the ability to configure and support proxies. And then you confirm your settings, followed by generating the easy setup configuration sheet. After the equipment is received by the customer, they unpack it, perform the light assembly, take the easy setup sheet, drop it into the hopper of the scanner, press easy setup, and in a moment, they'll be online ready to go. It's that simple. Next, we're going to take a look at an application we created on the INfuse platform called Real ID. What you'll find interesting about this application is we've taken full advantage of the API messaging back to the device and the user, providing them with positive confirmation regarding the outcome of their transaction that was submitted. Either the batch is accepted because all the data and document criteria has been met, or it has been rejected. The first example shows the acceptance. The second example shows the rejection because of a bad barcode. Here, we're taking all of these supporting documents that are necessary to produce a real ID, your birth certificate, driver's license, utility bills, your passport, essentially everything you need to ensure that the federal standards for all the documentation required in order to produce a real ID have been satisfied. In this final demonstration segment, I'm going to show you how we have enabled the INfuse device to be able to perform outbound faxing in partnership with the Alaris organization, who's a global faxing, messaging, and email service. Unique about Alaris is they are 100% cloud. That's why we have the relationship with them and have built this integration. So for customers that are looking to reduce the footprint, perhaps get rid of an MFP and replace it with a nice small form factor INfuse device, we have a solution to do not only document scanning, but also outbound faxing services. Okay, folks, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I hope you found this session to be informative and enjoyable, maybe learned a few things that you can take back to your workplaces. If you're looking for more information, our organization is pretty active in the social media world. These are a number of different areas of social media you can connect with us on. I also have a podcast channel you might find of interest called CAPSYS. I have a couple episodes on INfuse you might find of specific interest. I interview Jim Forger, your worldwide product manager, on the subject of INfuse. He and I have a great discussion. We talk about how INfuse came about. We talk about the market applicability of it. We talk about the future roadmap of what INfuse is going to look like. And it's a great exchange of information, more than I can unpack in this presentation here today. So if you have time, go check that out. I also have other subjects on the CAPSYS channel you might find of interest related to the content services world. Case management is an example. And also I do an INfuse update. As we have learned, INfuse falls underneath what we call an agile development strategy. And what that means is the Alaris organization, from a development standpoint, listens to feedback that we're receiving from our customers that we channel back to the development team at Alaris. And that feedback ends up in being able to have iterations of improvements in the software that we deploy on the devices. So in a very short period of time, we have seen a number of great improvements released in the INfuse platform that everybody's going to be able to benefit from as a result of our customer feedback. Hopefully you find these resources of value to you and you can check them out when you got time. If you want to email me directly or contact me via telephone, the old-fashioned way, here's my contact information. I'd be more than happy to chat with you. If you have ideas, suggestions, you're looking for some advice around how to leverage INfuse in your particular situation, feel free to contact me and I'll do what I can to help you. With that, folks, I want to thank everybody. I wish I had the opportunity to meet you in person. Unfortunately, due to the world circumstances that have unfolded for all of us, we're virtual, and I'm pleased to have been able to be a part of it. Hopefully we get a chance to meet each other in the near future in person. And again, I want to thank you, thank all the Alaris folks, and bid you all well. Take care.